Cool. Let's get into the fun stuff. The Excel spreadsheets. Todd.
Nice to meet everyone. I've been working in the background on the financial stuff for the DAO and trying to get all the data into something that a accountant could use to file taxes and do some of that stuff that isn't so Web3 compatible yet. And as part of this process here, I guess just to give some background on what we did, every guild leader came and presented their own budget. And so that's what we're presenting here today. If we can go to the next slide. So these are decentralized bottoms up builds with each guild presenting what they would like to spend for the next season. You can see the breakout here from preseason, season 1, season 2, and season 3. And you're probably familiar with like some of like community came on in season 2. So naturally you've had some increase in spending, but the current proposal for spending is pretty large for season 3. And so I just wanted to give a high level picture of what that means for the DAO if we were to spend as currently presented. And so I think of the budget in 2 buckets. There's the actual cabin that we have in the treasury, and then there's the USDC, and there's some other tokens as well. But the USDC and cabin are kind of the 2 things that we spend the most. And so presenting them as 2 individual budget components here. And this includes core contributors, bounties, and everything like that. And so the implications of the current proposal are going to the next slide. For cabin, season 3 is 22,000. If we, and as you saw, those were like 100 to 300% growth rates from season 3 to season 2. So if we temper that to season 4 to a 40% growth rate and look at what the burn would be from our current treasury balance, we would only have a few seasons of runway before things start to get tight. And it actually looks a little bit worse if you do it based on USDC. So I think the high level takeaway that I want everyone to get from this is that these were bottoms up decentralized builds, but I think we'll probably have to scale these back a little bit and try and have a little bit tighter reins on the spending this quarter so that we can have the runway to do some of those exciting initiatives in the future that Zach, John, and Phil talked about. So I think each of the guild heads will now present their budgets to the DAO, and hopefully we'll tighten these up before the governance proposals next Wednesday.
Awesome. Todd, thank you so much for sharing this. I think like this is exactly the context we need to make good governance decisions over the next week. Just to put a really fine point on this, I think this slide like sends it home. These bottom-up proposals, we should expect, because they were done in a bottom-up way, that they're not going to add up to the amount that gets us to a burn rate that will allow us to continue to sustain operations for the next 18 to 24 months. And so in order to do that, in order to sustain operations over that period, we would need to, as Todd has shown here, reduce our USDC budget proposals by 54 to 78% in order to maintain the run rate. So a big part of what you're going to see next are these bottom-up proposals. And then the conversation over the next few days is how do we take these proposals and get them to the right size so that we can make sure that we're able to operate sustainably as an organization.
Great. All right. So this has been sort of the big picture at the DAO level. We're now going to jump into each of the guilds. Cabin has 5 guilds, and we're going to go through each of them and talk about what their goals are for the next season and what budget they're attaching to those goals.